Hello, and welcome to U.S. History. My name is Jessica Drogos, and I teach U.S. History Prep, periods 4, 6, 7, and 8. A little bit about myself, that prior to coming to Lyons Township High School, I received my Bachelor of Arts from Loyola University of Chicago, where I majored in history and minored in political science. I then received my Master's of Education in Curriculum and Instruction, with a focus on reading, also from the Loyola University Chicago. I've been teaching here at LT for 22 years. I actually student taught here before that, so my entire teaching career has been here at Lyons Township High School. I may not live in district, however, I certainly very much feel a part of the LT tradition for my years here at LT. And currently, I teach both at South and North Campus. I start my day at South teaching AP European History, and then I commute to North where I teach US History the rest of the day. In U.S. history, we try to foster critical thinkers who are knowledgeable about U.S. history so they can actively participate in the democratic traditions and institutions of the country. This is no small feat to do. U.S. history is varied and it is very rich. And for students to not only learn about the history but become engaged in the history is definitely a focus that I would like to see my students have in the class every day. To tackle that feat, we cover some major themes, such as how the U.S. was created and developed over time, how Americans interact with each other and the world, and how the U.S. became the most powerful nation that it is today. In addition to that, we also have to take a look at the challenges that the United States faces historically and how they have responded to those challenges. In the course, for first semester, we start looking at those themes with these 6 major topics, starting with colonialism and American Revolution, which lays the foundation of this country, how it became independent, going into the Constitution, the background, the rich history, the compromises, whether they be good or bad for this nation, as well as the ratification process. We then go into the development of a nation, where we get into the early presidents and how they set the course for how this nation went. And then we get into the antebellum period, where we're looking at the increasing tensions between the North and the South that will culminate in our Unit 5 with the Civil War, which created such a big divide. But then we end Unit 5 with Reconstruction, with how this country was trying to heal after the Civil War. And then we end the semester with industrialization, immigration, and urbanization. With that last unit of semester 1, it's setting the tone for how the United States really interacts now with the world. First semester is very much centered on how the United States is growing and developing, so that's internally. Now we need to take a look at how the United States interacts with the rest of the world. And we start with Unit 7 with imperialism and World War I. We then go into the 20s and the Great Depression. World War II follows that, and then into the Cold War, which followed World War II. Then we go into the Civil Rights era, go into Vietnam, and then very, very briefly at the end of the year, we do a 70s Beyond, or as I call it, the Parade of Presidents, where we just take a look at the remaining presidents, Nixon through present, and any policies that have set the course for this nation. In U.S. history, it's important to know how students are assessed and evaluated. And in this class, we see that there are 2 types of major assessments, formative and summative. Formative assessments are going to be anything that's considered practice, which is going to be mostly homework, or practice writings in class, so on and so forth. Homework is going to be at least 3 times a week when you're in school on an average school week. If a homework assignment is not completed, you will find in Infinite Campus that it appears with an M. Just know that these formative practices, which are practice assignments or activities, students will not receive a grade that will impact their overall course grade. It's just to inform you how the students are doing. Another formative tool I use throughout the course are formative quizzes that will check for student comprehension. They can be entrance questions, they can be exit questions, they can be more formal quizzes. But like the homework, it's just to inform you. It will not impact the overall course grade. So what then does impact the overall course grade? Those are the summative assessments. And in this class, it'll be tests and graded writings. So tests come at the end of a unit of study. And so we see that we know that it'll definitely be 6 grades because first semester there are 6 unit tests. Additionally, any sort of writing that we have practiced the skill at over time in the semester can then culminate in a graded assignment or a graded writing, such as our turning points writings. We work all semester on turning point writing, such as what is a major turning point in US history, what happened prior to that event, what happened with the event, and then how that event impacted the US history afterwards, either in the short term and or the long term. And so students are going to practice their writing. And then in late November, early December, they are going to have a graded writing on the turning points. So that will be the 7th assignment for first semester that will be graded. Because there are not that many grades essentially that count towards the overall course grade for the semester, anytime there is a summative assessment, whether it be a graded writing or a unit test, students have the choice to retake it. If they choose to retake a test, if they're not happy with their score, they then have to begin the retake policy, which is they have to meet with me, they have to do some test corrections. If the students didn't complete any of the formative practice homework during the unit, they have to complete that. Then we meet in a tutorial so that I know that the students have a better understanding of the knowledge of the course or of that unit. And then they go ahead and they retake the test when they're ready. They have 10 class days in which to do that after the test has been given. Lastly, students, once we come back to class, are going to have to keep a binder where they put all their papers in, and so that'll be organized. I will check periodically once we're back in school to make sure that they are staying organized with the papers and worksheets that they need in that binder in order so that they can be successful in the course. Since we've gone to remote learning, things have obviously changed. And my goal is, even though we're in remote, to try to replicate the learning experience that takes place daily in the classroom. But for students, it's an adjustment, as it is for all of us, that where to go, where to find things, how do we know what we're doing and when something is due. And for all of those questions, we encourage that the students need to go and check Canvas. I will then take you now to my Canvas page to show you what it looks like so that you can understand what students are going to have to look at and where they can find things. Okay, in the US history Canvas page, you will see here that I have the Zoom links for each period of the class, what they need to, a how-to guide if they ever have any questions on how to use Zoom, and Zoom etiquette while we're in class. Then I have a module here for course information that gives the policies and the syllabus for the course. And then my modules are divided up by weeks. So if we take a look currently now in week 2, students have a weekly schedule. And if they click on that weekly schedule, they can take a look at the schedule for the week that looks at the learning objective, the date, the learning objective, the topics we're going to be covering, and the homework assignment. Every week there will be a schedule put up in the new weekly module. Additionally, students will also find all of their homework assignments here. So this week my students are currently working on the Revolutionary War beginning. So they would click on that link, and then it says to click here, and they can pull up that assignment. They know how to, through practice and through explanation, how to make a copy so that they can complete the assignment and then upload it if it is required to be uploaded back into Canvas for an evaluation. Anything that you're going to need to see, or if you'd like to see, or your students need to see for this class, they will find definitely in Canvas. So once everyone knows where to look to find the materials, and during class and after class, we then need to take a look at what a lesson in US history looks like in remote learning. Typically, I will start the class period with a poll or an overview of the day or an objective of what we're trying to accomplish by the end of the class period. Our activities are varied so that the students can become engaged not only with me as the teacher, but with each other. And so we have much instruction is done in a large group setting. We'll have large group discussions. Oftentimes we will go through to more than one breakout session throughout a Zoom session. So in the breakout room, students will have small group discussions, they'll process learning, they'll work on activities in those breakout rooms, and this is where they really can interact with one another and get to know one another. Oftentimes I find that my students feel more comfortable when they are in a breakout room because it's just 2 or 3 or 4 people to interact with, as opposed to that daunting view of the whole class right in front of them on that Zoom screen. To continue to work on getting to know one another is so important at any point in time. So whether the students are in the classroom learning or in remote learning, we start on Mondays with a question of the week. Right now, I am providing the questions for the week, and we go through and see the students' responses. I encourage my students to email me questions of the week, anything that they want to hear how their classmates would respond to a topic. We do that. This week's question of the week was, if you had one superpower, what superpower would it be and why? And it's really funny to see and hear what everyone's superpower is and why that would be their superpower, and you can learn a great deal about each other just by sharing that kind of information. We do continue to do icebreaker activities so that we can foster a sense of welcomeness and inclusiveness in the classroom. If you have any questions and you need to contact me, the best way to contact me is through email, and my email address is jdrogas@lths.net. Thank you for taking a brief tour of U.S. history, and I hope you've learned something and have enjoyed this journey, as I hope your students do as well. Have a great night. Thank you.